Hello and welcome back to the Monsters of Monster Hunter Double Cross, where today we are taking on the original final boss, Fatalis. And I think we are going to do an event Fatalis. They do exist. So here's a regular Fatalis, a Crimson Fatalis, and a White Fatalis. So let's do this regular Fatalis. We're using aerial switch axe because it's what I'm most comfortable with, and Fatalis can be mean sometimes. And let's just go ahead and grab ourselves some insurer, because I like having insurance. And then let's go play with this guy. I've already got my items all set up. And I am sorry to say, this Fatalis and the other two, I'm going to be using aerial switch axe for all of them. So, yeah. Hope you're ready to see some aerial switch axing. Hi, Fatalis. Having fun with your stolen battle theme? Seriously, the fact that Fatalis' battle theme is Rathalos' theme, but with a chorus, it's kind of silly. And already we've seen a move that Fatalis stole and modified from Dire Miralis. Fatalis is an interesting monster. It's far from my favorite Elder Dragon. Like, far from it. And one of the biggest reasons is, you see this tail? It's really nice and long. And yet it's not severable. Oh, and here's another move that Fatalis stole from Dire Miralis. It's actually kind of interesting. Since they put Dire Miralis on the same skeleton as Fatalis, it was actually the first monster in 3rd gen to use this skeleton. And therefore, it ended up with a lot of new moves that when Fatalis came back in Monster Hunter 4, it stole. Also, Fatalis looks really stupid when it flies. When it glides, it's okay, but when it's just flapping, its pose is dumb. Thanks for putting your face there, buddy. It's always nice having one of the weakest faces in the entire game just hanging out next to you. I do like the new Castle Shraid. It's much more interesting than the old one. There's no portcullis to drop on this big boy, but we've got a cool-looking Dragonator, a much tighter space. It's just generally a better environment to fight him in my opinion. And I would like to use this Dragonator now that I remember it exists. So, if you would be so kind as to come over here. That's not coming over here. That's spitting a fireball at me. That, too, is spitting a fireball at me. So is that. And that also is a fireball. That's a flamethrower, but at least you did walk towards me while using it, so here you go. A nice little reward for you. Ow! Didn't get a flinch on him, and therefore I took some pretty hefty damage. And we can use that again in 10 minutes. I find it interesting that Fatalis, prior to Monster Hunter 4, did not have a flamethrower. But I guess they decided that he needed to make it so that Teo and Lunastra were not the only monsters in the series to have flamethrower breath. Like, really, 4th gen Fatalis just stole a lot of moves from a lot of monsters. Though he does have one move unique to him. And it's the one where he, like, swings a trail of powder that then explodes. But I guess you could argue that even that is kind of based on what Teo does. Uh-oh. Ow. That hurts. Thanks for the herb horn, cat. Yeah, Fatalis, his whole thing is just very high damage output. He's got a really weak face, though, so if you can hit his face a lot, you can bring him down relatively quickly. And hey, when you ride him, you ride his face. Not that that makes it do more damage. It's just, I guess, it just helps you break it. And also, it makes his face stay very available for a while after you ride him. That was a good flinch to get. Kept him from belly flopping us. Ow. And while Fatalis does have very high damage output, to my knowledge, unlike G-rank Fatalises in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, he doesn't have any one-shot kills. Of course, that's not to say he's incapable of killing you. The new moves they added to him definitely allow him to be a bigger threat to a larger area, which makes the fight a lot more dynamic than it used to be. Oh, these are max potions, aren't they? Yeah. Hooray. Now, we've got a lot of ballista ammo. I should use it. Because those wings aren't going to break themselves. But those fireballs are going to hit me. So yeah, that is Fatalis' unique move that no other monster can claim to have. At least not exactly like that. Apparently I didn't need to dodge there. Oh, let's not get hit by that. When I first fought Fatalis in Monster Hunter 4, it triple carded me pretty quick with that move because I was hanging out like right up in his crotch and didn't know how to dodge that move. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, binding Fatalis is great because it puts his face right here. And like I've said, it's got a very weak face. Actually, when I fought Fatalis in Monster Hunter 4, it was the first time I had ever fought a Fatalis. So that's a thing, too. Also, of note, there is one important little gathering spot here in Castle Shrade, and it's right here. Because you can get an extra binder. And in fact, every player who shows up can get an extra binder from there. Though, admittedly, after, like, the third binding, it's hardly worth it to bind Fatalis. And I should wait till he's enraged, because Challenger's a thing. And I might as well grab some ballista ammo. Uh-oh. This attack right here was guaranteed lethal in Freedom Unite G rank, apparently. I am very glad it's not these days, because it's a really dumb attack to have be lethal. I'm also really liking that I got Groomer in addition to my insurance, because it's making it a lot easier to get rid of Fire Blight. Just taking one roll. Seriously, guy? Ooh. Oh. I love binding him out of the air. But alas, I don't always get to do it, because he rarely stays in the air long. Hey, buddy. Hold still. Oh, yeah. Challenger doing work. Ow. That was decidedly the wrong direction to roll. Another thing I like about Fatalis in its 4th gen incarnation over the 2nd gen one, or rather the before 4th gen one, because technically that one first showed up in 1st gen. It doesn't take 4 quests to kill it. It just takes 1. It's way better. Is there even a sub? Of course not. Well, we should be able to use the Dragonator again before long. And there's the wing break, which means the chest is the only break we have remaining. And since he's so kindly coming over here, let's go ahead and bind him. That's not a great place for your face to be. Thankfully, it's still hittable. Yeah, that was not a very long binding, and any bindings after that would have been shorter still. So yeah, just because everyone can gather a binder doesn't mean it's really worth it to use them all. And hey, we got us a ride, though he's not raging. Means the ride will be easier, but it also means that we won't do as much damage when he's down. Only break we have left is that chest, which is an okay target, but if you can hit the face is of course better. Like, if memory serves, the chest is a 50% hit zone, and the face is a 90% hit zone. So just a little bit of difference there. But in going for more mounts, we'll almost certainly get some chest hits. Hey look, the chest broke. So that's full breaks, and I just dodged towards where that fireball was going. It's not good for my health. And the Dragonator is usable again. So let's get on up there. I really like how tattered his wings get when you break them. Buddy, we've been over this before. You using fireballs is not you approaching the Dragonator. Neither is that. That isn't approaching the Dragonator either. I need actually you to move your body over here. But seriously, it offends me at a fundamental level that Fatalis' tail is allowed to be that long and not severable or even injurable. Also, cat, get the hell over here. Or get blown up. That's also an option. There's what we want to see. Seriously, that's 2 Dragonatings, during which this Fatalis did not flinch. That's some fortitude right there. Like, seriously, Capcom, you could have at least added a break to the tail. It's got spikes all over it. Why can't we break some of those? For it to be that long and not even injurable. Offensive. Well, I just got belly flopped. Find me a time to sharpen, which is going to be when he's not looking at me with fire in his mouth. There we go. Sharpened and safe. It isn't an exaggeration to say that Fatalis' face is actually one of the weakest hit zones in the game. Which back in the olden days worked out a lot better for him, back when people didn't ride it. Ow. And incidentally, he didn't just steal his theme from Rathalos. His first armor set was also just a recolor of Rathalos's, for the most part. So, yeah, Fatalis just really wishes he was a Rathalos, I guess. Just always wanted to be the poster boy for the series. But he isn't. He's just a big endgame dragon that is really not terribly exciting. Like, the old Fatalises, in my opinion, were a very boring fight. Like, there's hardly any dynamism to them. I like dynamic monster fights. And then, even modern Fatalis, I think Alatrion is a much more interesting fight. And a much more interesting looking monster, in my opinion, as well. So, like, yeah. I'm sorry, Fatalis, but I just can't love you. Some people do. I don't get it. Ow. That was a painful belly flop. Yeah, Miralus only did the super fireball, didn't transition into a glide, because Miralus couldn't fly. Also, I don't think Fatalis did that in high rank. I think that might be a G rank deal. So the thing about Fatalis, if you're riding it when it's enraged and you don't have earplugs, you are at its mercy as to whether or not you'll be able to successfully ride it, because it can roar upwards of 4 times in a row. But thankfully this time it was quite nice, though our sharpness wasn't. Uh-oh. This is not a good idea, sharpening before healing. Yep, that was indeed not a good idea. Oh, hey, there was his nose. Well, hey, we're allowed to cart one more time. But hopefully we won't need to. Yeah. Hey, buddy. That double bite attack he stole from Mirrorless. Or at least I never saw it in Freedom Unite. Freedom Unite, he was basically just belly flop, snap and drag, which is that like crawly, bitey move, and fireballs. And that was it. Though admittedly, he got slightly more creative with his fireballs, kind of. I mean, he did the Rathalos thing. He flew up high and then used fireballs. Whereas this one just uses fireballs while standing and can aim them in a variety of directions. It also didn't used to stay down for quite so long when you flinched a leg. And it already, in this game, doesn't stay down for that long, but it used to stay down for less time. Yeah, this is the snap and drag attack right there. I don't get how it got its name. It's like, I get the snap. He does, like, do some bites. But is it just drag because he's dragging himself along? Also, in the olden days, his entire body was an instant death hitbox for the snap and drag attack, including his tail and his legs. Because that was back in the day of full body hitboxes for basically everything, and no differentiation on which part of the body did how much damage. The fact that they gave Fatalis Mirrorless' sit and sweep right there, that just makes sense. It's one of the most... It's one of the things they gave him that's just like, yeah, he really should actually use his tail for more attacks. Because back in the old days, the only, quote, attack, end quote, that used the tail was just him turning. Because it comes with this tail sweep right there. Did I seriously just flinch a wing and cause him to stand up? I actually prefer when he's on all fours, but then again, when he's standing up, he doesn't use his flamethrower, and his flamethrower, just the way it kind of sweeps down and back at the start before actually going to the crawling and sweeping side to side, It gets me a lot more often than I would like. And we ought to be pretty close to another ride. But wait, no, we got a ride not long ago. Ow. Got slapped. And that's the Dragonator again. So let's go make use of it. After all, we've got a dragon here, so we might as well Dragonate it. Over here, cats. Let's not stand in that. Over here, big fella. Okay, way to send that across the bow. Yeah, that's what we want to see. Okay, that is not what we want to see. But at least you were kind enough to walk towards us, so have a Dragonator. And again, no flinch from the Dragonator. It looked like we were getting a flinch, but that was just because of the animation that he starts his flamethrower with. Rawr to you too, buddy. Are there still any ballista shots for me to grab? There are. I don't really know why I'm going for them, because we've already broken the wings, and my weapon can do more damage than a ballista shot, but... Seriously? Just dragging the open mouth into me does that damage? At the end of the animation, no less? Well, hey, we've got some ballista shots. Let's use them. Boop. 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 And a boop. Wait, seriously? You can get knockdowns from those? That's cool. I didn't know that. But I will gladly exploit it. So I guess there is a reason to grab ballista shots. I think that was a chest hit. Maybe flinching the chest with a ballista does that. Ow. Why does your belly flop hurt so bad? You know, I think I can use a Farcaster here. Plus, I think there's ballista shots for us in here. There are. Been forgetting to grab those. Unfortunately, there's no bed here. They instead decided they needed the space to have a bunch of greatswords. Yeah. Like... Seriously, a bunch of great swords. And some lances. And some just swords. I mean, who needs beds when you can make sure that the hunter's got enough great swords to last him a lifetime? Why can't I sleep on great swords? Thankfully, the flamethrower isn't quite that long. Ow. Buddy, could you just behave while I use these last 3 shots? I mean, that's almost behaving. If only I had a binder. Wow, way to just put your face right on top of me. Ow. I think that belly flop would be lethal if I didn't have a max potion. Like, if my health wasn't maxed out, I think it would be lethal. That's how much damage it does. That's a very damaging belly flop. I've taken less damage from bigger monsters doing belly flops. Like, for what reason does a Fatalis belly flop do more damage than a Lao belly flop? I can't see any reason why that should be the case. And yet it is. There's a ride. And he's enraged. I do love watching what my arrow does on the map when he's flailing around like that. It's easily the wildest an arrow ever goes in this game. Like, just watch it. Over there on the right side. Whee! Alright, time to shove this in his face. Hooray. Thankfully our white sharp lasted for the duration there. Right, the first roar coming up from a mount is always a fake. Unless you flinch him before that happens, in which case, yeah. But either way, when a monster's done being down from a mount, it'll try and roar, and the roar will be a fake. That is, if it has a roar. Fatalis, I'm getting a little tired of our charade here, so if you could just go ahead and die, that would be great. Instead of belly flopping me. I don't like the belly flops. They do less damage when you're not raging, though, so that's nice. So really, I could go for a you being dead right about now. Because we've already seen pretty much everything you can do. Other than die. There we go. Thanks for being so accommodating. So, unlike Lao, Fatalis does still have 9 carves from 3 separate spots, but there's a spot where you can get 6 of them without moving. So there's lower body, chest, and face carves. And if you hang out right at the elbow here, you can get the lower body and chest without moving. As far as Fatalis' textures go, I mean, they work. On the face, they're pretty nice. And again, bump mapping helps for pretty much the entire body. Yeah. And also, I always feel bad because you destroy his eye with the third face break. Yeah. It's a monster. Not my favorite. And seriously, this tail is way too long to not even be injurable. Capcom, please. If you ever bring Fatalis back, make its tail at least injurable. There's no reason it should be that long and completely indestructible. And that is going to be it for this episode. Join us next time when we take on Crimson Fatalis. See you then, friends.